northeast corner of Wyoming, there's a rock that shouldn't exist. It rises 867 feet straight out of the flat prairie. No mountain range around it, no warning, no explanation the naked eye can offer. Just a single tower of stone, scarred with vertical grooves, standing alone like something was trying to claw its way out of the earth. Native tribes have told stories about this place for thousands of years. Stories of a giant bear, of children lifted into the sky, of a rock that grew beneath their feet to save them from death. In 1977, Hollywood chose this exact spot as the landing site for extraterrestrial contact, and locals will tell you that wasn't just a coincidence. So what is Devil's Tower? A volcano that never erupted? A sacred site chosen by forces we don't understand? Or the last visible piece of something far older and far stranger buried underneath the Great Plains? By the end of this video, you'll understand why scientists still argue about how it formed, and why, for the people who've lived beside it the longest, the argument was settled a long time ago. To understand why Devil's Tower feels so wrong, you have to understand what's around it. Nothing. No mountain chain. No volcanic field. No sister peaks. Just rolling grassland and the Belle Fourche River curling past its base. Geologists call formations like this monadnocks, isolated masses of rock that stand alone because the softer ground around them wore away over millions of years, while the tower itself refused to erode. That refusal is the first mystery. The rock is a type called phonolite porphyry, an igneous rock that most likely formed when magma pushed up through sedimentary layers roughly 40 to 50 million years ago, then cooled and hardened underground. Over time, the softer rock surrounding it wore away, slowly exposing the tower we see today. Here's the part that keeps geologists talking. No one has found the volcanic vent, the ash layer, or the lava flow you'd expect if this rock had ever actually erupted at the surface. Some researchers argue it never broke through in the way a typical volcano does, that what we're looking at is essentially the fossilized plumbing of a volcano that formed underground and was never finished. Which means Devil's Tower may be less a mountain, and more a wound the Earth never got to close. Long before geologists gave this place a scientific name, the people who lived around it had already explained it, and in some ways their explanation fits the evidence better than you'd expect. At least 6 native nations, including the Kiowa, Lakota, Cheyenne, and Crow, have oral traditions tied to this tower, and while the details shift from tribe to tribe, the core of the story is strikingly similar. In the most widely told version, a group of children were playing near the rock when a giant bear began to chase them. With nowhere to run, the children climbed onto a low stone and prayed for help. The rock heard them. It began to rise, lifting the children higher and higher into the sky, out of reach. The bear, furious, clawed at the sides of the rock as it grew, trying to climb after them. Its claws raked deep vertical grooves into the stone, and those grooves are still there today, running from base to summit. The children, the story goes, were carried so high they became the stars of the Pleiades constellation, visible in the night sky above the very rock that saved them. The tribes call it by many names: Bear Lodge, Bear's Teepee, Aloft on a Rock, names that long predate the one most people use today. And that name, Devil's Tower, is itself a controversy we'll come back to. In 1906, Devil's Tower became the very first national monument in the United States, signed into existence by Theodore Roosevelt under the newly created Antiquities Act. But the name itself carries a wound of its own. In 1875, an Army colonel named Richard Irving Dodge was traveling with a geological expedition when, according to his own account, a translator described the site to him using words that got rendered into English as Bad God's Tower. Dodge simplified it to Devil's Tower, and the name stuck, appearing on federal maps ever since, even though it directly contradicts the sacred, protective meaning the site holds for the tribes who named it first. For decades, native nations have petitioned to have the name officially changed back to Bear Lodge. The debate is still unresolved today. What isn't disputed is how sacred this place remains. Every June, dozens of tribal ceremonies take place at the base of the tower, timed to the summer solstice. Prayer cloths and medicine bundles are still tied to trees in the surrounding forest. And in a rare compromise, the National Park Service asks climbers to voluntarily avoid the tower during the month of June out of respect, a request most climbers honor. So this isn't a monument to a legend. For many, it's an active place of worship, a distinction that's easy to miss if you only see it as a striking photo. In 1977, director Steven Spielberg needed a location for the climax of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the moment where humanity finally makes peaceful contact with an alien intelligence. He chose Devil's Tower. Spielberg later said he was drawn to the rock's strange, almost artificial-looking symmetry, like something too perfectly out of place to be natural. The film cemented Devil's Tower in pop culture as a landing site for the unknown, and even today, it remains one of the most UFO-associated locations in America, with a small but persistent stream of sighting reports from the surrounding Bear Lodge Ranger District. Most of these reports have mundane explanations: aircraft flights, weather balloons, atmospheric optical effects caused by the tower's unusual thermal properties. But the association has never gone away. Local gift shops still sell alien-themed merchandise alongside native art and geology books. An odd collision of three completely different belief systems sharing the same 867 feet of stone. It raises an interesting question. Why does this one rock keep attracting stories of things beyond ordinary explanation? Bears that lift children into the stars, gods that shouldn't be called devils, and visitors from other worlds? Maybe it's simply human nature to fill an unexplained landmark with the biggest story we can imagine. Or maybe some places just feel different, and we've been telling different versions of the same instinct for thousands of years. Today, roughly 500,000 people visit Devil's Tower every year. Around 4,000 of them attempt to climb it, a tradition that itself dates back to 1893, when two local ranchers built a wooden ladder up one of the cracks and climbed to the summit in front of a cheering crowd of homesteaders. Modern climbers use over 220 established crack climbing routes, making it one of the most famous traditional climbing destinations in North America. And yet, standing at the base, most people don't talk about climbing routes or grip strength. They talk about the feeling, the sense that this rock is watching, that the claw marks really do look too deliberate, that a place doesn't get this many independent legends across this many unrelated cultures purely by coincidence. Science explains how Devil's Tower was built. It doesn't explain why so many different people, across so many different centuries, looked at the same rock and reached for the same word: sacred. Maybe that's the real mystery of Devil's Tower, not what it is, but what it makes us feel the moment we stand beneath it. Whether you see Devil's Tower as a geological accident, a sacred bear lodge, or humanity's chosen meeting point with the stars, one thing is certain. Few places on Earth carry this many stories in a single silhouette. If you want to see the next landmark science still can't fully explain, subscribe, because this planet has a lot more secrets standing in plain sight.